getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either...
And not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil tab up the inside for the race leaders. We head down to the first corner.
Have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here. Yes, if we go right off the track in the final quarter, that'll allow Fuller to get a massive...
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller toward turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on, he's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Let's go backside. They touch. They're going to crash. Grimsco going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, even trying to make runs. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in the front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final quarter. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
Welcome everyone. After some entertaining action last week at Long Beach, we head to Road America, America's National Park of Speed. My name is Fiona Kuna here with Eric Mickey for the next round of this championship. Really looking forward to seeing this one get underway after some great action in the Super Trofeo race just before. Really looking to see these prototypes fire on this track, Eric.
Yeah, I'm excited. The practice is showing a little bit of a reason to be concerned with some of the control here, but I think hopefully that's just practice jitters, and with this probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 laps of qualifying they're able to get here, and the mindset of having to start and survive a race will be enough to get everybody under control, and we can have something as good as we just saw with the Lamborghinis.
Indeed. Actually, let's go quickly through a track map of Road America. You fly down the front straightaway heading into turns 1 and 2, and then heading down to turn 3 as well. Gotta get a good run out of there. When you blast down to turn 5, a great passing opportunity for a lot of drivers. Then through turns 6 and 7, blasting down to turn 8, which you've seen a lot of drivers also use for some passing opportunities. Through the carousel you go, down the back straightaway into Canada Corner. Turn number 12, that's going to catch maybe quite a few people off guard, especially with the speeds these prototypes can carry, into the final few corners and then back across the start-finish line to complete a lap here at Road America as we cut down to qualifying, which is already underway. A few drivers have started their laps and are just on the verge of finishing them, Eric.
Yeah, just still about a minute and 51 second lap times here. So it takes a bit of time, probably going to mean only 3 laps at the most to get in for qualifying in this 10 minutes of a session that they have. There is no invert for the qualifying results for this first race, as we saw with the Lamborghini race. So the way that they qualify will be the way that they start this first 15-minute race. And then for race 2, we'll invert the top 25 finishers as long as they're on the lead lap, and then go for 40 minutes. And in which they will have to be making a pit stop at some point for fuel. So a lot of things still to happen here tonight around Road America. Should be pretty exciting and interesting to see, and hopefully it's puts on a good show. Gonna get dark, I think, by the end here. So a lot of different conditions these drivers are going to be dealing with that they haven't had to deal with the first 3 weeks.
Indeed, I'm looking at Jackson Roller come up and over the hill across the line. It'll be one of the first drivers to complete the lap. Currently, it's Paul Darling, the quickest of the few drivers who have started at least their first lap. And you can see there, solid time for him, 0.7 of a second up over DJ Alessandrini. But you can still imagine to see these guys gain more time as they continue on with their laps.
All eyes are going to be on Paul Darling, DJ, and Cy Andra, and I don't see Cy having had a lap in yet, but he was pretty quick in the practice session. He's always quick in these cars. It's kind of a specialty of his. So I think those are the three that everybody's eyes are going to be on for qualifying and for this first 15 minutes and see what they can do here. As looks like Chris Hudson joins the top three and goes to second place just now, ahead of DJ, and Paul is looking like he's maybe in the pits. I'm not sure.
No, he's out on the track still. Just a little bit behind DJ on the track, and these guys in different instances with single car qualifying. And we can see if anyone can topple that position from Paul Darling at the moment. Chris Hudson, too, with a really solid run. Not notably up near the front too often from my memory, but really looking really good in the 43 car. Zach Buchanan also, we saw his frustration just earlier with the Super Trofeo. Almost got a win, was leading up and just until pretty much the last two laps, last lap and a half really. So we'll see if he can turn his luck around here. Looking at fourth at the moment to come back to the line. See where DJ is going to end up here as he's currently sitting in third. Ooh, might have just had an off check there as we cut to him. Got to be careful as soon as you get that off check and validate to lap, and you have to start all over again, and it's a long lap here.
Yeah, that's I think going to be something that bites some of these drivers here tonight. They're going to pick up drop a wheel, pick up a 1X or something like that, and it's going to ruin potentially their best lap as Paul Darling still sitting on pole. Carter Kundinger has moved up to second place. Zach Buchanan into third. Chris Hudson now fourth with Alessandrini in fifth.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, DJ actually just pulled back to the pits to start again. This is interesting. He's barely going to have enough time to have one more lap. So he better get
and he
on
said in the interview that he hadn't had much practice. He was showing some of his VRS data to us, showing that he's in the first few weeks he's been putting in something like 7 hours of practice to come to terms with these fixed setups that they've got in the cars for this series. Putting in 7 hours of practice for both Lambo and the prototypes to make sure that he can come out here and be at the top of the board the way that he wants to be. And this week he let us know in his interview just a little bit ago that wasn't the case. He doesn't have the laps under him. And I think you're seeing that right now with his time only being fifth. And I know he expects himself to be up at the top.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just find that absolutely hilarious in some ways. He's saying he barely had any practice, yet he's still in the top 5. I think it just shows you how terrifying DJ's natural raw pace is. Obviously, maybe not as good as some of the other guys who may have had a little bit more practice. See Paul Darling dip a wheel or two off in Canada corner. It's okay, he'll have another attempt, at least one more attempt, to get back to the line. DJ again starting his lap, looking at where Carter Kundinger and company can try to get up here. Still no one to usurp. Ooh, he's actually going to swerve out. I think he's maybe now going to start a flying lap. This time didn't like that last lap. Zach Buchanan coming on through in the 40, trying to see where he ends up time-wise. And actually that lap didn't count. In fact, the entire top 4 of their laps didn't count last time through.
Yeah, so we're down to just over 2 minutes. Paul Darling on the pole as of now. Carter Kundinger second, Zach Buchanan third. Chris Hudson fourth, and DJ Alessandrini still sitting in fifth. Behind them, you got Mo Islam, Anthony Montello. Those are both going to be your... Andrew Lidke now pops up to 7th place ahead of Montello. Those are 3 names are going to be your top 3 AM qualifiers at the moment. We'll see if anything changes there before the session is ended.
Yeah, trying to look at some more surprises near towards the back. Anthony Montello with a really solid run up in 8th place for that 24 car.
Buchanan has pulled into pit road. Looks like he's done for the night in qualifying. Matt Waldbaum still on pit road.
Jackson Rollbar back in 15th. Probably not having as good of a session as he would like. Having a decent run nonetheless. Kyle Lamb I just saw his struggles in Super Trofeo, was running really well up until the last lap or two, and got involved in a wreck, and hoping that he can start anew in this race.
I got a question for a certain someone who isn't used to being in the booth, but if you want to call Andrew up here, I got a question for him and see what driver he's put in that number 93 car.
All right, I guess we'll pull Andrew up here. Hey, Andrew, Eric's got a question for you.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, I've never heard of this driver, Thunder Thimble, in the 93. Just curious what that is.
That's a long story. He's a new driver. Doesn't really know what he's doing.
I mean, the old driver in that 93 car didn't really know what he was doing either.
Yeah. He wears a mask, so it might be the same guy.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we're gonna have to move Thunder Thimble up to the pro category since he didn't sign up. So. Make sure that Thunder Thimble gets that message. But I just saw that name pop up on the board, and I just needed to know what the story was with that one.
All right, Andrew, thanks for talking to us. Best of luck in your race.
Thanks.
And DJ came across the line and wasn't quite able to get a faster time. He's going to have to settle for 5th place for him in that 3 machine. So looking at something interesting, notably DJ's always usually on the front foot. Now looking at him actually being on a little bit of the back foot. So he's going to have some learning to do in this race, especially, taking into consideration the slipstream. You're going to have to change your braking points a little bit going down some of these straightaways.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult to manage. I think he's used to starting up front, so it's I'm sorry, I'm just reading the chat from Cyandra right now to explain why he wasn't able to put in a lap time. Some personal issues going on there, but
oh yeah, didn't even notice him all the way back there.
Just some unfortunate things happening for him right now, keeping him from putting in a valid lap time. But yeah, it looks like on your pole is going to be Paul Darling with Carter Kundinger right behind him.
Yeah, we'll go through your starting lineup indeed, as you mentioned. Paul Darling, Carter Kundinger, your top 2 Mo Islam, Zach Buchanan starting 3rd and 4th, and then moving on back to the next row, DJ Alessandrini starting in 5th, Chris Hudson next to him in 6th, Anthony Montella in 7th, with Drew Lidke lining up in the 121 in 8th.
9th place, we'll see Derek Roelveld, very impressive driver over the first few weeks of the season, joining SCRS. Matt Waldbaum also showing some promise, and then returning veteran of the SCRS League, Mitch Welker, in the row behind them, and starting in, I believe that is 9th or 11th, and then Sarah Tessum in 12th.
Yeah, moving on back to the 13th spot, Dominic Dornberg going to be lining up next to Ryan Plord in the 74. Colin Daner back in 15th place. Next to him, Jackson Rollard in 16th. Then we got Thunder Thimble back in the 93 car. Kyle Lamb in 18th. In the 18 car. He's actually lined up. Oh, he's actually in that 18th, ironically. I'm getting confused because these things don't have the correct.
Thunder Thimble will do that to you.
Cody Meadows in the 04 lined up in 19th with Eric Brown in the 56th in 20th.
21st, we'll see Jake Gordson. And 22nd, Brian Stabelski. Not very happy after that Lamborghini race, but we'll see if he has a better time in this one. Cameron Delve looking to make his debut on the season in the number 42 car. And was that 21st? Murphy Nichols in 22nd.
Yeah, 23rd and 24th. Yeah, again, I don't blame you. It's a little confusing not having the numbers. Sean Foe's going to be lined up in 25th. Cyandra all the way back in 26th. Going to be a long drive for him. Ryan Cladwell is going to be rounding out your field in 27th. So both races having 27 cars here. And looking forward to getting these guys off and away. Again, 2 races here for this series. Got a short sprint race here of 9 laps. And then the main event, the longer race, race number 2, going to be 22 laps, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. The race number 2 going to be 22 here right now. When they come around to start the race, they'll have 9 laps. It should work out to 15 minutes for race 1, 40 minutes for race 2. And that 25 position invert is going to be very important, as we saw even the 8th position invert turned out to be pretty important in the Lamborghini race earlier tonight. So, yeah, it looks pretty excited about the way this race is going to start. But I think if they haven't adjusted themselves to the way that these cars drive as quickly as they needed to, they could be in for a surprise here. So hopefully everyone's got it under control and realizes that everything's going to be happening much quicker, and they're going to have less room to work with the car when things go wrong. And we all get underway all right.
Yeah, and also, again, do want to highlight, too, the Pro-Am split. These guys have been officially assigned categories after the first 3 weeks of competition. For where they'll be competing in the championship, whether the Pro category or the Am category. Guys in with the red numbered board are all in Pro. You can see they're all pretty much near the front. And then as you look further back, drivers with a yellow number board, or I believe blue number board for some of them, are in the Am category. And they'll be battling for that Am championship. We saw some interesting battles heating up near the back of the field in the Super Trofeo race. Expect to see something similar here in the prototypes. Some stiff competition in a 27-car field. That'll do. You've got some great drivers lined up and about to unleash them here in a few corners. Again, looking at seeing Paul Darling, last week's winner at Long Beach, had a great fight lined up between himself and Mitch Welker until Welker ran into unfortunate circumstances. And Welker, too, further back than I think both of us would have thought to see. Very dusty Canada corner.
Yeah, Welker's expressed all week that he's not exactly a huge fan of this track. Just doesn't really fit with the way that he likes to drive, so that seems to be a hiccup for him coming through here. I think that may be why he sat out the Lamborghini race, is just choosing to focus on the prototypes where he wanted to put more of an effort in getting things under control. As the pace car is off, they'll be starting in any second.
Indeed, the slow climb yet again up and over the hill. Just as they crest
onto them. Hold them really late to get started going.
And seeing some drivers already pull out 3 wide. Here we go. A big group of cars all tight and close together. We are green here at Road America.
Oh, I really don't like the looks of this going in turn 1. Everyone's all over everyone.
Here they go, flying down into turn 1. It's going to be Paul Darling with Carter Cundinger in the grass, out and away from everyone else. It looks like they're going to make it on through. I don't think there's any more carnage in behind. Some guys looking very sketchy through the first opening corners.
Very scary looking. Up now they're wrecking off of turn 3.
Oh, and a massive wreck.
Andrew's missing his front end.
Yeah, I see Sia Andrew around as well. Ryan Cladwell, I think, is spun. No, that's him in a different spot of the track. He's off the track, though. But massive amount of casualties here in the opening laps. Cut back up near the top. And, oh, DJ's out in turn 5.
You have to go see what happened to him.
This is heading down. You see him up in second place. Got a good start. But, oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Just had the brake bias in the wrong place. Not as high, not as low as he would have liked.
You know, Buchanan's driving by that thinking, really? Couldn't have happened a half an hour ago?
Well, you take what he can get now as he's sitting up in third. DJ all the way back in 14th. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a 25-car invert between race 1 and race 2.
We do, as long as those 25 finish on the lead lap. We got a green car, 121 Drew Lidke out of the kink. He's able to save it. Nobody has any further troubles, but this has been a crazy opening lap, or at least opening half a lap with a lot of incidents happening. Hopefully we'll get the rest of this race done in a cleaner manner, but everyone's still all over each other back here with Chris Hudson and Derek Rolleveld and Carter Cundinger, who's trying to rebound from his off earlier in the lap.
Yeah, these cars pretty sketchy on cold tires. Definitely saw that with a few incidents. Definitely going to want to try to take a look at the incident on the opening lap, because that was chaotic to say the least. As we look a little bit further up the order, I see side-by-side action, the 43 Chris Hudson and Rovell in the 38. He's going to work his way on by. Here comes Carter Cundinger trying to make a move up the inside. He'll get the spot done. As you see also in behind, Kyle Lamb in 9th place, also licking his chops here, trying to get a run on the 43 Chris Hudson.
He's got a huge draft here for Hudson on Cundinger. They used to be teammates. Let's see what they do down in turn 5. He holds off, does not make the move.
Ooh, looked like he was going to dive in a little bit late into the braking zone. Just got on the binders quick enough. Drew Lidke also sitting in behind. He's talked about his little off in the kink. Was able to get it sorted back in 10th place for him. Taking a look back at our leaders. Mo Islam having a really good start. Started in 3rd, up into 2nd at the moment. Zach Buchanan now firing on all cylinders. Had a okay start to this lap, and now he's just starting to get the tires warmed up, and now he's going to start to push here. Paul Darling driving away from everyone else, already 2.3 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Paul's going to be really difficult to catch. His 2 biggest rivals struggling in towards the mid and back pack of the field. In fact, Syandra might be in the garage after his first lap incident, but Darling looks like he's going to have a strong run. Less time in this race to have to worry about getting caught as opposed to the earlier race, which is 10 minutes longer in the Lamborghinis. So looking to sprint away from Islam to hold on to this win.
Yeah, looking at a close battle here between Carter Kundinger and Rovell. There they go. They're going to pull up to the right side. These guys are going to be flying down the straightaway. These teammates for AOD, man, they have no love against each other. They're just going completely at it.
They do. They fight for every position. They make a lot of contact with each other, too, in doing so. It's they seem to all agree that that's how they want to get things done on the racetrack, and makes for a good show.
It definitely makes for a good show here. Also some side-by-side action a little bit further back down the order. At least for a little bit, it was kind of like Cody Meadows was close to Dominic Dornberg up ahead in the 9:13, and then Drew Lidke leading this little pack. And going back up the order again, Zach Buchanan still trying to chase down Mo Islam. And also behind Rovell and Carter Kundinger going at it. Kundinger up into 6th position after starting, actually falling back from 2nd place after his off in turn 1.
Yeah, not the start Kundinger wanted, but he's already moved himself up a few positions since then, trying to rebound, get a better finish here. See, our top AM driver right now, Anthony Montello, that is not something you see often. He had a very good qualifying lap here and a very good start to the race. So if he can just cut down on some of the mistakes that he's made, and as sponsor of the series, I'm sure he out there wants to represent himself and LazyRocket on the racetrack just as well as they are on the headline of the league.
Yeah, I think Mattel really, these high downforce cars really suiting him. Was okay in the GT cars, but I think this is really where he's starting to come into his own. Did fairly decent in the Momo prototype challenge that Relay has been doing. He's entered a few of those races, and in fact, they're actually running these cars Monday next week. I forgot. Oh, they're running it at Road Atlanta next week on Monday. So he's been doing fairly well in those machines. They've been running the old Riley DP and the Corvette DP, as you see Zach Buchanan pull out alongside Mo Islam. Curious to see how much of a fight Islam's going to put. Not much, and Buchanan will go on by for 2nd place.
Yep, Buchanan's going to see if he has anything for Paul Darling now with just over 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and this is the interesting thing. So if you're Buchanan right now, you're up in 2nd place. You got Darling over 3.5 seconds ahead of you. Do you want to push in these last few laps? I remember saying the exact same thing with Syandra, and then he had an off in turn 1 at Long Beach. For Zach Buchanan, he's not going to have an off in turn 5. But do you want to push this? Not that it's necessarily late in the race or pretty much halfway through. Do you want to push and risk falling down the order from 2nd, or do you think that 1st place is just that much worth it?
I think at this point, Mitch Welker's going around out of turn 5, but I think at this point, with just the speed and the stability that Paul Darling has, as we see Welker just lost it on his own there out of turn 5, that Zach can't afford to just take it easy and try and wait to try to make a move. He's got to make up ground if he can, but right now the gap seems to be extending up to 4 seconds now. So looks like Buchanan maybe doesn't have what it takes to run down Paul Darling here just now, but still got a few laps to go, and we've seen Darling make some mistakes in the past here on Sim TV, so anything can happen, but right now he's just got to hit his marks, be relatively what's the word? My mind just totally went blank. Conservative in the way that he goes through the rest of this race, and he'll probably come out of here with a win, but Buchanan's got to keep the pressure on to make sure that until
actually not too terribly good of a lap for Buchanan. Was in fact 9/10 slower than Darling. The gap's now expanded to over 4 seconds. I think this kind of showing that he's, I think, just going to pace himself for the rest of the race. Don't blame him. Want to get yourself some nice points to work with. Ooh, Mitch Welker. Looks like he's called it a day. He's retired his car. Is going to be sitting back in 22nd. And you said, right, they have to finish on the lead lap in order to be eligible for the invert.
Yep, any driver who does not finish on the lead lap, not finishing in pit lane with a wrecked car, is not going to be able to take advantage of that. They'll be EOL'd on the start. And looking at things right now, it looks like we're only going to get 21 cars right now, even on the lead lap, with Thunder Thimble being your 21st place car running. Something must have happened to him, because I'm sure that's not where he would like to be right now.
No, started in 17th, has fallen back to 21st, and has actually made a trip down pit road to, I imagine, repair some damage. So it's not been a good start for the 93. An okay start. At least they'll be on the good side of the invert.
Starting to think the alter ego should have sat this one out and let Corey Bunch continue in that car.
And as we cut back up to see, there's another battle going up ahead. This is between Eric Brown, Dominic Dornberg, looking at Dornberg at the moment in his 913. Eric Brown up ahead. A beautiful sunset at Road America. I believe it's about 7 o'clock in the afternoon here.
It's about to tick up to 7 o'clock, 10 minutes away from that. I think sunset is about 7:19 or 7:20.
So we're definitely probably going to see some night action. Race 2! Oh boy, really close to the back there in Canada corner. You got to be so careful. This is what we're talking about with the braking zones changing when you're in the draft, because you're carrying so much more speed. If you're not careful, you're going to either rear end someone in front of you or brake too hard and lock up your brakes, and around you go.
Yeah, DJ is right now setting up Chris Hudson to make a run down in turn 5 to get back past him, but DJ gets a little sideways off of turn number 3. I don't think he's not going to be able to make this pass like he wanted to on Hudson. He's going to have to wait until potentially Canada corner to make it happen.
Yeah, just went on the replay to check out what happened with DJ. Let's go back to the end of the straight into turn 5. He's going to have to try again up into 7th place after dropping back to, I think, almost 11th after his miss in turn 5. Ran wide of the track, came back on, lost a few spots, now making them back up, flying through turn 7.
So, I thought I had it wrong just now, that Anthony Montello being our top AM driver, but he is. Mo Islam has actually made it into the pro category after having spent last season in the AM category. So Mo is, if you're used to seeing him as an AM driver, has moved himself up to pro so far for this season, running in 3rd place. Anthony Montello hangs on to that 1st spot in the AM division. And your 2nd place driver is Colin Daner. I haven't really seen much of him all season, but he's having a good run right now, sitting in 8th and overall in 2nd place with the out of the AM drivers, with Kyle Lamb behind him. He's trying to hang on to that 2nd place from Kyle Lamb.
Yeah, Daner really was pretty far back, a lot further back than I would have thought back in 15th. 8th is kind of more I would expect to see this car be running, so it looks like he might have a chance at 2 more spots up ahead. I see Montello and Chris Hudson. No, that's not Chris Hudson. That is, Montello and Carter Cunninger fighting for 4th place, and Montello continues his climb. He's showing some phenomenal pace right now. Going to pull out to the outside of turn 3, maybe setting up here for the straightaway.
Montello, really impressive. I don't think I've ever seen him run this well. He's got a huge run on Carter. He's going to pull out to Carter's right, try to outbrake him down into turn 5. Are they going to give each other room to do so?
And we'll see if they're going to be nice to each other. Here they go, deep on the brakes for both these drivers. Montello a little bit further ahead, going to have to take the longer way around the corner. It's going to be Carter Cunninger back in front. Well, Montello, man, he's on a hunt. In behind, you can see also DJ Alcedrini finally able to get past Chris Hudson, moving himself up into 6th place. So the Red Bull machine going to continue its climb forward up the grid. Come back to Carter Cunninger and Montello, but Montello not over yet.
Now Montello's looking to get up into the top 4 now. And that's one of those cases when you're looking at the AM drivers, when you're looking at Mo Islam, he's moved his way up into pro. Looking back at Colin Daner, I mentioned him as an AM. If you're used to seeing him as pro, it's because this season his performance has kind of dictated that he's been more at pace in the prototypes as an AM driver. So this is one of those scenarios where generally our driver classifications don't end up changing from one season to the other, if for drivers who are returning. But this is a case where the change in car has really mixed up the field in terms of what drivers are most comfortable with and performing the best in, and has affected the way that these drivers get rated. So a little bit of an interesting twist on things as we head into our first season doing something other than GT style racing, and looking forward to how this plays out the rest of the season.
Yeah, no surprise there. I mean, I consider myself much better in high downforce cars compared to GT cars, which have a lot less downforce to work with, and just a completely different driving style in most cases. And as you can see from Montello, I think it's really the case, just suiting his driving style quite a bit here, as he's still putting pressure on Carter Kundinger for that fourth spot. Not a whole lot of action up ahead. Actually, I didn't want to say that, but he's closing back in on Buchanan. The gap was as wide as 0.8, not only like a half a lap ago. I was monitoring it. It's now closed back up to under 0.3. He's getting really close to Buchanan, trying to fight for that second place spot.
This is the battle, I believe, for that's kind of taking over the team standings. I'll just take a quick look. You have AOD Racing at the top. AOD Racing Blue at the top. That'll be with Carter Kundinger and Derek Rolleveld, who's in this race. Revo Satellite, which is Paul Darling leading this race, and Cyandra, who's in the garage area or running late down in the field after his accident early on. Can-Am Racing third, and AOD Racing Purple, which is what Mo Islam is representing right now against Project 2's Zachary Buchanan.
Yeah, both these guys working through the kink right now. Flying past the camera here. I'm sure these guys are enjoying the fact that they're going to stick full throttle on here and let the downforce carry them through the corner.
So battles everywhere outside of that first position, where Buchanan has now fallen almost 7.5 seconds behind Paul Darling. So Darling putting on just as dominant a performance as we're used to seeing guys like Alessandrini put on, but he's running away from the field with this one. Looks like he's going to be starting the worst of everyone who finishes on the lead lap here in race 2. So giving himself a lot of work to do, as he's just taken the white flag, I believe.
Ooh, and change of direction quite a few times under braking there for Islam and Buchanan, swerving at one another. Oh, Buchanan runs off the track with those shenanigans. Islam going to look to the outside, not able to get a lane. Buchanan going to stick to the middle of the track in the draft, where it's almost 6-7 miles an hour difference for these guys by the end of the front straightaway, and it's not over yet. Islam now mounting the pressure. He handed the spot over to Buchanan early in the race. He wants it back. Here he's going to try to look. Buchanan going to take the inside, making Islam work hard on the outside. Going to try to outbrake the 40 car. Is it too late on the brakes? Both of them side by side through turn 5, and Islam's going to have to yield.
It's one of those things where you can just kind of take up all the racing room, knowing that they've got all of that runoff area on the curbing and the paved part outside of the racetrack there to use, and kind of force them to have to back off before they hit the grass.
Yeah, they come flying into turn number 8 now between Buchanan and Islam here. Islam's got one more shot. We saw him getting very close. If you can get close enough, honestly, might have something up the hill with the draft these things are able to get at the moment. You see he's very far back. Has had a poor second half of the lap. Buchanan going to be driving away. This might be all sorted out. We'll keep an eye on it, but up ahead, Paul Darling working through Canada corner now. Flawless race for him. 8.5 seconds up the road from the next closest driver. A really solid drive for Paul Darling as he comes out of the final corner. He will see the checkered flag first and take the win here in race number 1. Great drive for him, winning back-to-back races. Race 2 of Long Beach, and now race 1 here at Road America for the 155. Back for second place is going to be Zach Buchanan. He's going to be coming over the hill in second place. Solid drive for him, fending off a late race charge from Mo Islam back in third. Carter Kundinger going to come across the line in fourth. Montello, a solid effort for him up in fifth. Was pushing all race. So was DJ Alstrini, trying to get back some spots. He got some back, not as many as he probably would have liked. Chris Hudson in 7th. Colin Danner going to come in 8th, with Kyle Lamb in 9th, and Derek Rolleveld in 38 is going to round out your top 10. Some great action there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Montello can pull off. I think he's going to be the one I'm going to be watching the most in this next race, other than Darling Buchanan and Alessandrini.
Yeah, he just a couple tenths behind Carter Kundinger. That's a big move for him in terms of competition to be racing up there with Carter Cundinger, who's been always in the talk for the championship every single season since he's joined us. So that's pretty big for Montello to be able to put on that kind of a show, and I'm sure he's going to be super happy with that.
Yeah, we go through your next page of results. Cody Meadows is going to be rounding out in 11th, Eric Brown 12th, Dornberg in 13th. You saw those guys kind of fighting for most of the duration of this race. You get back to Cy Andrew, who had an incident in the opening lap, wasn't able to make up as many spots as they would like. Actually, just up to 18th as it refreshes back across the line. And taking a look back at some of the guys that really did not do too well at all, actually just changed over. I was trying to get a look quickly at it, but we changed the session over. So we have a little bit of a break period, but actually take a little bit of a break just to rest my voice because we got a long race up ahead. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Road America. We're getting ready to start race number 2. We saw some very entertaining stuff. Great battles for second, fourth, and no, sorry, I'm getting that wrong. For second, no, I think I'm right. Second, fourth, and sixth place in the first race, race number 1. And I'm hoping to see some great battles yet again between some of these drivers for a longer race. Now we had 9 laps for race number 1, 22 laps for race number 2, and on top of that, 20 some odd car invert. Didn't get the exact number of how many cars are being inverted, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be about 21, I believe, is where the cutoff happened with cars who were able to finish on the lead lap. So the alter ego of Corey Bunch will be starting on the pole, or starting first with the number 93 machine, as the others will be given EOLs to put behind them. And I think the thing nobody wanted to see is that, at least out there in the field, is that Cy Andrew is going to be starting in the 8th position. He's going to be the favorite, I think, for this race. He's going to have plenty of time to get up to the front. He's got all the speed necessary to be up there and hang on to that lead. So whatever DJ and Paul and even Buchanan can do, they're going to have to do it quick in this race in order to try to lessen the gap they're going to have to overcome if they're going to catch Cy Andrew at the end of the race. But I think we saw some pretty interesting results in that first race that tell us we may be in first. It's not going to be that easy for those faster drivers to get up there through the field. So be interesting to see how the results show when the next 40 minutes is up.
Yeah, you can see already guys shuffling out of position. As you mentioned, some EOLs drivers dropping to the back, trying to take a look. Cy Andrew didn't get on the track, so not sure what's going on with the 67. Andrew did finish the race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Andrew did finish. I remember he gained a few spots near the end. So he's not taking part in this race, it seems. If not, he missed the grid at the very least. He's gonna have to be at the back anyway. So I'm not sure what's going on with the 67, but we're looking at some interesting stuff here. This is not gonna be as clear as we thought. Andrew's not up here to run away with it. Got a lot of decent drivers up here, and really out of this top maybe 10, I would say, out of the top 10, who do you think has got maybe a chance of getting their first one of the season?
Well, I'm going to be looking at first, it's going to be between the 93 of Thunder Thimble. He's going to be starting up front, and down to Cody Meadows, who's going to be starting 10th. You know, this could be a crapshoot with the way this top 10 looks. The 93 did not have the performance that makes me think he's going to be able to hang on to that lead. Kyle Dwell has been pretty impressive and with his speed on the season as an AM driver. So I'm interested to see what he can do starting up front, having this opportunity. The first time I think he's going to have this opportunity all season. And then Ryan Plord, he's a veteran of this league. Perfectly capable of having a solid run, but he hasn't really shown much of his the pace that we've expected from him and are used to in either one of the series this season. So we've got a lot of unknowns. Jackson Robillard and Cameron Delve are 2 unknowns. Zabelski and Drew Lidke are up there too. So it's hard to pick any one of these top 10. But the key is that they're going to have to keep it clean, and not even just the top 10, but the top 15 are going to have to keep it clean and not take each other out or put each other off track, and make it easy for the guys in the back, like Alice Andrini coming from 20th, or Paul Darling coming from what'll be 21st or something like that.
Yeah, riding on board with Paul Darling at the moment, all the way back in 2050 to that invert. There are also a few more cars lined up behind due to some EOLs, but this is the look that Paul Darling has of many cars that needs to pass. I'd say probably at least 20, taking the EOLs into account. So it's going to be a busy day for the 155 to try to win, do 3 for 3 as far as the last 3 races. Again, winning Long Beach Race 2, Race 1 here a few minutes ago. Looking to see if he can get it done once again. We've got 40 minutes, about 40 minutes estimated, with 22 laps on the clock. We'll see if he can get it done. Trying to see who's the actual leader of this race now with all the EOLs.
It should be the 93. He should be the one in control of the start here.
Right on that. Pace car going to make the turn onto pit road for the final time tonight. Lights are on for everyone else. Lights are off for the pace car, though, as we get ready up the hill, immediately back on the gas for the 93. We're green here for race number 2 here at Road America.
Says, I don't know what Paul was doing on the first one, but I'm not waiting around. I'm going to get going. And we're going to have a little bit more spread out field heading to turn 1 this time. 40 minutes. These guys should know they have time to take it easy here and not get each other in trouble.
And we make it through the first corner. Okay, everyone nice and patient for the moment, which is surprising.
And
Ooh, one car off. Oh, and I hear some carnage up ahead as well. Oh, and I was looking at Jackson being able to do pretty well. Lidke off as well. He's going to try to get it on, but he's mentioned Jackson Rollbar in the tire. He's going to get that car looped around in the right direction. That's not a good start for them. Cyandra did actually make the grid, but at the back of the pack. So he did leave from the pits to start this race. Thunder Thimble off and away in first place. Ryan Cladwell in the 144 in second. Ryan Plord in third in the 74.
Yes, I did once ask for an EOL when he wasn't supposed to get one. So this could just be him wanting to challenge himself from the back of the field and see. And we got a car around. It was a Project 2 race car. One of them, I think it was maybe Kyle Lamb.
Darling's around.
I think that's is that Lamb up on his roof?
I think I saw him on the edge of the shot as well. Let's take a look at what happened between both these guys. I think they came in contact here out of turn 7. Oh, is that Islam? I think Islam got sideways into Lamb and into Darling as well. So front runners from the last race struggling early on here.
It is not what Darling wanted. He wanted to be able to make his way up through the field, but we got another car around. I think that was
Zach Buchanan. Oh man, and they are all struggling here. Buchanan finishing in second. There you see Darling flying on through, and his car is damaged. Looks like the car is starting to crab, but man, carnage here in race number 2.
Sure what happens here.
Oh, he got rammed from behind. Not sure who that was.
An AOD racing white car, I believe, that went in there and just took him out under braking. Not really sure why that was the case.
Oh, and I think I heard some more carnage as well. Jake Gordson. Oh, he's up and over in his car. Many destroyed race cars here.
2 cars on their roofs already, and we're only 2 laps, less than 2 laps into this one.
Ryan Cladwell just went up to him, battling for third place, trying to hold on to it at least. A little bit sideways out of the corner. Rollville got a great run on him here down the middle stretch. And into turn 5. Easy move for him as Cladwell surrenders that spot. Colin Daner up into 5th position. I saw car off into the grass, or almost in the grass. That's Brian Shabelsky struggling a little bit in 7th place. So I think it's safe to say most of our usual front runners not close to the front at the moment. It looks like DJ's made his way through the melee. At least on the surface. See if he's got any damage. I don't think that car looks to be in one piece.
It seems to be the most clean of all of them, but he is only 13th, so I think he also lost a position or 2 in this opening couple laps, or he's just been forced to take it too easy to be able to make up any ground.
I think it might have been the latter there, just taking it easy, trying to stay out of the carnage. Now that they've gotten a little bit separated, and I can get his head down, move his way up through the order here. Trying to see if anyone else is of concern. How about Anthony Montello, who's working his way on through now? I think that was Cody Meadows. That might have been the car that rear-ended Zach Buchanan. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it was a mostly white car, so I would assume it was this machine.
I'm pretty sure there was a couple of AOD racing cars there, I think, and I think he might have been the one that got into him.
Dominic Dornberg side by side with Shabelsky now for 7th place. Blasts his way on by, gonna clear him before they even get to the corner. A car out in the back, diving out. That's Montello working on. Whoa, gonna get tight, gonna turn around Cody Meadows in turn number 1.
Tough move. Not really sure what happened there. Need to see another angle of it, but it seemed like a late dive from Montello, but it looks like he might have been able to get there and the door was just shut anyway, so we'll have to see on this replay what that was.
Let's see here. Oh, it looks like Meadows actually came into him there. Montello pretty much did everything he could to hug the curb.
Yeah, not really sure. That'll probably be something that gets looked at after the race, but Not exactly what I'm sure that's not the way Montello wanted to gain a spot there, as we have Alessandrini trying to get by Hudson.
And always trying to make a pass in turn 6 is always really sketchy, or it looks really sketchy on the broadcast. There, as Alessandrini had a little bit of a luck, but no cigar.
At the front of the field, you have, I believe that's Corey Bunch, who is under the guise of Thunder Thimble. I think this might be a Racer X type of deal going on here.
Instead of Racer X, we got Thunder Thimble.
Yeah, a little bit less impressive of a name and less mysterious, but
well,
Ryan Ford,
whoever is in this car, if they do win, I'm gonna have to unmask them at some point in the race, because I'm sure Thunder Thimble is not their Discord handle. So I think we need to hopefully figure out who this is as they work their way onto the final corner. Ryan Flora chasing down Thunder Thimble in the 93 up, and I think they're kind of equal on lap times. Looking through, I'll actually take a look this time by what their laps were. For the 93, it was a 151.7. For Ryan Plord, it was a 151.4. So gain 0.3 of a second to the 93. So it's starting to close in just a little bit.
Montello going for another move on Brown here, down into turn 1. This time I think he's going to complete it before they even get to the braking zone, but Hudson looks on the inside. They get through their...
DJ caught up in the middle of this mess. He's got nowhere to go. He's got a car around in front of him sideways, and also side by side, sorry, and a car in behind him as well. But now they're going to get somewhat sorted out, and I'm going to see what DJ's
got a little held up on the exit there. This is going to be Alessandrini's opportunity to get down on his inside and pass him, but right behind him, he's got to defend from No Islam.
DJ deep into the brakes. Can he do 2 for 1 here? Got past 1. Gonna kind of sort of get 2 here. We'll see if he can clear him. This is Eric Brown on the outside of the purple and white machine. Indeed, he does. And Brown actually going to lose another spot as well to Chris Hudson, who gets somebody Brown back into 12th place.
Really good move by Alessandrini there, because in order to get back on the gas the way that he needed to there with that much steering input in the car, it's really difficult to make happen in these prototypes.
And Brown losing another 2 spots in turn 8. Back to Paul Darling, who's still back in this. Has not made a trip back down to pit road to fix any damage. He's still out there trying to chase down DJ, really. I would say he's probably his biggest competitor at the moment. DJ not too far up the road from him, so this could be an interesting battle between these two.
Yeah, and up front we have the gap closing just a little bit to under 2 seconds between the 93 and the 74 of Ryan Plord. Carter Cundinger is up into 3rd position with only 3 seconds back. So this battle for the lead looks like it's going to be getting tighter as we continue on.
And in Carter Cundinger, last lap before was 0.7 of a second faster than the leader. This time by not as big of a gap, but still 0.2 faster than the 93, so closing on in as this run goes on. As you mentioned, the top 3 converging in on one another. Colin Daner, also we mentioned his name earlier, having a really solid night. Started in 18th, is up into 4th. Might have been a little bit less, probably was more like 14th or so with all the EOLs, so still an impressive climb forward for Daniel. See if he can hold on to it. Rollveld in the 38, in 5th, Dorenberg in 6th. Go back to DJ Alessandrini, side by side with Brian Chabelski for 7th place.
Brian's probably just going to let him go here, not put up a fight and cost himself more time.
And Chabelski's got his teammate to deal with, and his teammate Chris Hudson going to take advantage of an opportunity, throw it up the inside in turn number 6, and we'll get the job done. And here comes Paul Darling in the 155, also trying to look at a spot here. Look at that great run through turn 7, nowhere to go quite exactly. Now can finally get a run heading down towards turn 8. Chabelski going to have to yield over. Going to lose 3 spots in 3 corners.
Pretty impressive rebound for Paul Darling after having been spun out earlier in the race in the first lap. So already be back up in the 9th position, just 5 laps in, or less than 5 laps into the race.
Yeah, and again, as far as the distance between himself and Alessandrini too, it's only about it's actually under 2 seconds, the gap between the XCDJ further down the straightaway, and passing through the camera shot right there. Back up in front, our leaders closing in. Cundinger looks like he's going to get to P2, in the P2, a little earlier than expected, at least before they get to P1 in the 93. Here comes Ryan Plor now ahead of Carter Cundinger, but I can't imagine it's going to be for too long.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that the lead that Plor's cut down the lead another few tenths, but he's not even worried about that. He's got to defend from Carter Cundinger here down into turn 1. He gives him the inside line. I think he's going to just let him go here and hope to run down the 93 car up ahead.
Yeah, I think this might be in Floyd's best interest, just kind of sitting behind, maybe get a tow from Carter Kundinger up to the front.
Carter's had some pretty good results in these second races the first few weeks of the season. He's looking to capitalize on it once again.
Taking a look at some other action going on a little bit further back at the moment. Chris Hudson still in behind Pearl Darling, not quite giving that position up. Not close enough to make a move on this occasion, but still riding the coattails. Another close battle further up the road. Rollville and Dornberg. I think actually Dornberg's gotten past the 38 machine for 5th place.
Yes, Dornberg.
And actually, also, if you can give me an update on who's the leading AMP class driver.
Well, that'll be the leader in the 93.
Yes.
Assuming Thunder Thimble is an AM. He's the leading AM driver, with Carter Kundinger second, the leading pro driver. Then you got Ryan Plord and Colin Daner, third and fourth, and Dominic Dornenberg in fifth. They're all AM drivers. Del Rolleveld is the second place pro driver, followed by Allison Drini and Darling Hudson and Islam, who are also all pro drivers in your top 10 right now.
Mr. Thimble is going to be in for a bit of a battle here in a little bit's time. You can see Carter Kundinger flashing the headlights, letting him know, just making his presence known here.
Just saying, we could be in for a really interesting second half of this race when when we get there, because just looking back at the field, Thyandra has now moved himself up to the 12th position, right behind Sarah Tessum, and closing in on the top 10. And he's maybe not all that far behind getting Paul Darling and Allison Drini, so those three making their way up to the top of the field, with Thunder Thimble trying to thunder his way away from the field and Carter Kundinger trying to get up to the lead. They could all come together by the time we get to the second half of this race, and we could have a great battle on our hands. I'm looking forward to when we see that happen.
Yeah, this race is pretty much unknown. DJ's still 7, almost 8 seconds behind the leader, and really, I imagine that gap's going to stop decreasing as much as it has. If really, I would say once Carter Kundinger gets by, he's all the way up on the back of the 93. I think this is pretty much a formality at this point, with the 0-2 getting past. He drove his way up to the front, and I can't imagine it's going to be too much of a battle. We'll see what the 93 can do.
Really depend on this exit out of the carousel and down through the kink to see what can happen here as they head then into Canada Corner.
Flying by the kink. This should be where Carter Kundinger can get a massive run. Question is it close enough? Gonna peel out to the inside, gonna throw a dive up the inside, and he's gonna let him on by. So new leader Carter Kundinger in the 0-2. Will he be the leader in 16 laps time? We'll find out. I have a feeling we'll find out, because there's some really strong drivers slowly crawling up the order. Notably looking at DJ Alessandrini up into 6th place now. And Paul Darling back in 8th, not too far behind him.
Should mention, just like our Lamborghini race earlier tonight, these cars are also in the medium downforce fixed setup that everybody is driving the same setup. Really, the tool everyone's been using is brake bias to really tune the car to drive the way that you want it to, and whether you're driving it off the rear or the front wheels here. But they're on a medium downforce setup, so the draft is a little bit less than what they would have otherwise been expecting or used to coming into this week, as the series usually runs the high downforce setup. But it switched to the medium downforce for this round, being that it's at this track, and the setup seemed to work a little bit better for the car. So that is also a factor to keep in mind, that the draft is a little bit less handy to you than you would have wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think that was a great decision, putting both series on medium downforce. I think otherwise it might have been a little bit too easy to get a run on these guys. It seems like it's just enough. If you can get a good run, you'll be side by side. Speaking of which, looking at Mo Islam and Chris Hudson going at it through turn 7, especially.
Side by side, though, I'll tell you that much. As they go into this left-hander here, is he going to give him enough room on the exit? He does, but that's going to hurt Hudson.
And Andra in behind, trying to move his way up the order. And this is impressive. Again, Andra starting from the pits. Didn't have to. So was it that Andra had to start from the pits, or get an EOL, or was it all on their own?
He either had another mishap getting into his racing cockpit, or he just decided to start from the pit lane to give himself a bit of work to do here, and start back with his buddies Paul and DJ towards the back, but Andrew sideways almost loses it.
Gonna save it, but barely. That looked like quite a handful to deal with. We'll take a look at Andrew trying to hold on to this car. Some impressive driving here, and it was through coming into the final corner here. Caught some grass on the left side, drifting through the final corner. Not recommended in these cars.
No, I wouldn't do it.
And Andrew has forked past Chris Hudson. You can see there in the rear, out of the rear of Cyandra. So Andrew up into 10th place.
Alessandrini 6th, Paul Darling 7th. They're about 2 seconds apart between them. And just following their way up through the field. The next one on their list is going to be Dominic Dornenberg, to see if they can. It looks like Alessandrini is just about there, and right in front of him is also Colin Daner in the 4th position. So he could get 2 positions pretty quick here. Everyone seems to be pretty close together up here. The gap closing down to the front of the field for these 2 favorites to come out here and perform. We got a car slow and off into the grass.
There's a lap cars that these guys are working through. They're actually nicely pulling over for the leaders. Good stuff there. Ooh, didn't quite pull over for Alessandrini though. Whoa!
Oof. That was a dangerous situation for them to be in, but I think that's going to have Paul Darling all over Alessandrini now going into Canada corner.
Yeah, looking at DJ struggling to get him by, saying, "Excuse me, thank you very much."
You see the run that Darling had, but Alessandrini, these guys so used to running with each other and racing with each other door to door.
Yeah, usually if anything is DJ that might have the upper leg some weeks, but it looks like Darling, the faster car between these 2 consistently, and I think this is not what DJ wanted, to have Darling not only in behind but also has a toe to boot.
Yeah, DJ has been pretty open about the fact that he struggles a little bit more in these cars than Paul Darling seems to. Darling seems to have taken to these cars pretty heavily since they've been on the service and kind of gotten better. I just saw somebody go off track or smoke or something ahead of Mo Islam a second ago. Not really sure what that was about. Yeah, so Darling seems to have the edge between the 2 of them here. But they're both trying to work their way up through the field. They've lost some time because of that lap traffic scenario to the overall leader of Carter Kundinger, who is has a 3-second lead over the 93 of Thimble.
Yeah, we're talking about Carter Kundinger. The gap looking back from when the 93 of Mr. Thimble was about 8 seconds. It's expanded between him and Alessandrini. It's now over 8.5 seconds. Obviously, DJ had to check up for that lap course. They lost some time there, but it hasn't changed. If anything, it's grown. So they're not making as much time because Carter Kundinger is driving away from the 93 and company. And Plord also having some internet issues at the moment, flashing a few times. It seems like he's back for the moment in 3rd place. Colin Daner chasing him down in 4th, Dornberg in 5th, and then you have Alessandrini and Paul Darling 6th and 7th respectively.
Breaking news, I've just been informed it's not Mr. Thimble, it is Sir Thunder Thimble. He has been knighted by the Queen, apparently.
Don't want to insult him. So Sir Thunder Thimble is working his way through the final corner in 2nd place. Bit surprised that we haven't seen Plord catch up. Plord was looking like, again, we were talking about these guys converging in on one another. Plord was involved in that, but he's kind of maintained the gap now. He's not been able to close it for more than 2 seconds.
Yeah, I thought he would have been able to. Paul Darling looks like he's making his pit stop now, just at the halfway. I panicked for a second, thinking he was in pit road and something happened. I forgot these guys had to make a pit stop in this race, and this is about the halfway point where you might start to see it. They can go probably another 2 or 3 laps or so, depending on how they're driving and how much fuel they're using. So we should see everybody coming in the next lap or 2.
Right, and just taking a look here, I'm actually kind of surprised that he did, because Alessandrini is, maybe actually this is probably part of Paul Darling's plan, was to pit before trying to have to pass 1, 2, even 3 cars up ahead, so this could play out into Darling's hands here. I think he put some good strategy.
Alessandrini got the run on Dornenberg going into turn 6.
And just gonna get on by, so didn't lose too much time in that. on that occasion. Now, next car up ahead is Colin Daner in the
Yeah, I think we've
578.
seen earlier in the season that the undercut of getting the tires on first and getting them warm up has actually made a difference before. So that could be playing into the strategy that the Revo Satellite Racing team has made with the Paul Darling and Cyandra driven prototypes here.
And the gap between Paul Darling and Cyandra is about 6 seconds. So Andra really working hard to close that gap. That is really impressive. Trying to see actually who has the fastest lap of the race. And wow, would you looky here. It is Cyandra with a 150 flat, pretty much.
Impressive lap time for Cy there, but I think as we get darker and darker, cooler and cooler temps, it's probably might end up seeing a couple of quicker lap times as the fuel burns off. They get lower and lower in fuel towards the end of the race, and these cars really start to come to life in those conditions. So just going to get faster and faster as we see DJ trying to now get up to the bumper of Colin Daner to make an attempt, and I think he's going to try to make the most out of turn 3 here and try to get him down in turn 5.
Yeah, and sorry, I just wanted to take a look back. Anthony Mattello, he's all the way back in 18th, and I don't think it's going to show correctly with the way the graphics configure at the moment, but he spent 1 minute and 16 seconds in his pit box, which is a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't even think a full service pit stop is that long, so I'm not really sure what.
If he got a penalty to do, but even then, I don't think a penalty would be that long either. So I'm not sure what happened to the 24. He's having such a good race, and then now is really far back, way out of anyone close to him. So this has hurt him quite a bit. I see Colin Daner and Ryan Plord. That was just Plord flashing out, but it looks like he's kind of side by side. He isn't as they hit through the carousel.
It's so frustrating as other drivers if you're Colin or DJ right now, to have that car disappearing like that ahead of you. You don't know where they're gonna show up again. This is not what you want, particularly going through the kink like that. Now they're all over the place. Going down into Canada, is DJ going to take it 3 wide or is he going to back out?
I don't think he's going to take it 3 wide. I don't think anyone's taking 3 wide into Canada corner. And there you can see Daner try to work it around the outside. Plur's internet is stabilized for now. DJ going to look around the outside as well, and it's 4 cars all in a very tight group.
Yeah, Plord just gets out into the grass there, not being able to hit the line he needs to through that left-hander. I think he's saved it. He's back going on the asphalt and everything's good. But Alessandrini now has an opportunity to make a pass on Colin Daner down into turn 1. Makes the move to his right.
Yeah, they go side by side heading down into turn 1, and it looks like DJ's going to blow on past. Daner not going to put up much of a fight on this occasion. So DJ up into second place.
I'm a little surprised how far they're able to go on fuel here. I thought they would have all had to come in by now, but we have some guys making their way to pit road already, and these the top 9 it looks like have not.
Yeah, Sir Thunder Thimble has made his way down to pit road. Same thing with Ryan Plord. He's still flashing in and out. Hopefully he can get that internet stabilized, because wow, was that close. I'm amazed that they didn't wreck. I'm sure DJ had a heart attack when he realized that Plord was right in front of him. Down the back straightaway, but DJ now going to get his head down. It's a 12-second gap between himself and Carter Kundinger. That is expanded by quite a bit, to say the least. In fact, DJ lost over 3 seconds last lap alone to the 0-2. And I think this is going to be, who's that's going to help is Paul Darling, sitting in relatively cleaner air. He's working past.
Yeah, that can make the difference for Paul to get by.
That's
DJ
actually
here.
the 93 car. And he's going to work his way by. So Darling passing 93 of Thunder Thimble. That is for a position when they all cycle out. So Darling now the leading driver of those who have pit. And pit lane, about 47 seconds. Looking at Darling, he's sitting at 53 seconds and some change back from Carter Kundinger. So he's looking to come back out around maybe 5 seconds back, 5 or 6 seconds back from the 0-2. Oh, and speaking of which, here's Carter Kundinger down on pit road. And
way to
DJ
pit lane
as well. Here comes Colin Daner. Is it everyone coming in? Everyone's coming in for gas.
Yeah, everyone's gone as far as you can possibly go.
very quiet down the straightaway as no one's flying by. Everyone's flying into the pits.
Fans must be thinking it's over. Everyone's just coming in.
There we go. There you see Carter Cunningham coming to the pits now. And there's a driver flying past that is not for position.
No, first car on track for position, I think, is Paul Darling back in 12th. The top 11 are all on pit road right now. Some of them starting to come out now after getting the fuel they need.
Here comes Darling, gonna rocket past the straightaway with everyone in the pits. Look at all the cars he is overtaking, and puts himself up into second place. In behind the 93 of Sir Thunder Thimble, gonna work his way on into third. Colin Daner in fourth. Allison Rooney back on fifth. Andra in sixth.
Paul Darling just pulled off the single most important strategy call of the season so far right now. I think that we've seen making his stop when he did, and making up all that time while everybody else was fighting for position, holding each other up. He's moved himself and launched himself into second position, 8.5 seconds behind the leader of Carter Cundinger, who was able to get back out in the lead. So we'll see if he's able to hunt down Carter for the lead here with about 8 laps to go.
Yeah, this is going to be all about straight up driving, just getting your head down and getting down to it. And for Carter Cundinger now, it's just a matter of not making a mistake. He's got the lead to work with. He's got some decent time to work with as well. 9 laps left to go. 8 when they head past the line again. So time, I would say, is on his side. It's a matter of not making a mistake at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely what they've got to be on the lookout for. Neither one wants to make a mistake. Paul's, I think we've seen for sure, has the pace advantage. But does he have enough time? He's going to have to gain over a second a lap.
Yeah, and also looking at the pit stops, DJ spent 17 seconds in his box to Colin Daner only spending 3 seconds in his box. That's just showing you how Daner was able to get back out ahead of Alessandrini. I think maybe Daner took it a little bit less fuel. Hopefully that's enough to make it to the end. I think DJ might have played it too safe there.
Talking about lap times getting quicker as we go. Paul Darling's last lap was the quickest of the race. 50.038 was his best lap, but Carter Cundinger's best lap was a 50.1. That's not going to be enough of a difference if Carter's able to keep that pace or even a similar pace for the rest of this race. So Paul's going to have to find some more speed, or Carter's going to have to make a mistake, it looks like. But we'll see what happens after Cundinger gets his first full lap after having pitted in, and see what the pace difference is there.
Yeah, beautiful view of the skies. He headed to turn 3. DJ chasing his way down to Colin Daner yet again to get the pass done. I'm curious now, after the pit stops, if Daner's going to be as courteous to him. We saw him put up pretty much no fight last time DJ got around him. I'm curious to see if that's going to be changed now that pit stops have finished. These guys got really nothing coming up left, and we'll find that out shortly here. Daner not too good of a run in turn 5. DJ looked like he's going to have a peek out in 6, but decided to sit back in behind.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good race. He's done a lot of passing, and overcome his deficit in the invert, but at the same time, he's just found himself in a lot of really bad situations due to traffic and can't get by Colin Daner the way that that I think you would have expected him to by now, and it's really cost him time and allowed, as we've already seen, Paul Darling to get by him, and now Andra is the next car behind him to start challenging him. So we'll see how things play out over the last 7 laps here, but I think Alessandrini's hopes of winning have kind of gone out the window as Darling is trying to get that gap under 8 seconds.
Yeah, and even Darling struggled to do that, but here comes Alessandrini. Great run. Looking at Colin Daner, they're going to be side by side through the final few corners of the lap. We'll see here. Daner's still putting up a fight on the inside. DJ going to have to try to work around the outside. Going to maybe try an over-under. He's going to get a great run out of the final corner. They're going to be side by side. And look at Andra. He's coming up in a hurry.
That's the experience on Alessandrini's part to know that defending the inside line like that was most likely going to lead to a poor exit for Daner out of that corner. And you see Daner not even taking the advantage of the draft to get back by him. He knows that Alessandrini's got the pace to continue on. And there you go.
It's Andra right in behind, ready to get past both of these guys. Really great run for him up in the 67. I almost kind of wish he'd just joined the grid normally with everyone else. Or maybe not, because I guess he probably would have been leading by quite a bit. I think he still has the fastest lap time. Darling only a few thousandths of a second off from that same fastest lap time. Darling ran a 150.038 to Cyandra's 150.005 as he goes flying up the inside of Colin Daner in turn 6. No real fight there. And Andra up in the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, and Darling only beat Kundinger by about 0.4, maybe half a second on that last lap. So that's not going to be enough to overcome the gap that he has to Carter. So Carter's just got to hit his marks and not make a mistake. And I think he's got this one in the bag after all said and done. Pit stops are done. It's all about what you can get done on the racetrack right now. And Darling doesn't look like he's got the pace advantage to close quite the gap that he would have to.
You're riding on board with DJ Alessandrini working his way on to attack Mr. No, sorry, not Mr. I forgot he's knighted. Sir Thunder Thimble in the 93. Holding on to that final podium spot. It's been a good run for the 93 car. Might be, at least for a podium spot, might be coming to an end here as he's got DJ Alessandrini and Cyandra in behind. Two very fast cookies.
Yeah, Sir Thunder Thimble deserves all of the respect that you would show Rush Limbaugh. Oh, wait. No, that would be Zero. He deserves a little bit more than that.
Looking at Paul Darling. Gap now almost at 7 seconds. Oh, it's going to be close at this rate. It's going to be fair. I think he might get within a second or two by the time this is all over. That's kind of where it's looking at here. Here's the lap comparison. 150.2 for Paul Darling, a 150.7 for Carter Kundinger.
It's about a half a second gain. It's still not going to be enough to make that gap up, but you're right. He could get within a couple seconds of Carter there. And DJ drove by somebody who was off track. Not sure if that was the
93 car. 93 was off the track. Let's see if we can get a look at what happened here. This is heading down to turn 5.
Here comes and he's disappointing the queen here with this move. Not sure if they can revoke knighthoods, but that may be on the itinerary moving forward after that move.
Yeah, this is a mistake by himself, just going off the track. And Alessandrini and Andrew were able to slip on through, so now DJ holding on to that third place position. Andra sitting in fourth, trying to take it away from it. Now it's Andra starting from the pits all the way up into, it was supposed to start in 8th, started in the pits, drove his way back up to 4th, potentially 3rd here with 5-6 laps to go.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see a battle between Cyandra and DJ here, and it looks like we're finally maybe about to get that. I haven't really seen it so far this season. Typically, of those 3 favorites and fastest out here, 1 or 2 of them ends up having some trouble and not being able to all finish the race together. But I think we're going to potentially see a battle between them here as Derek Rolovel is getting around Colin Daner heading into turn 1 now. Rolovel takes that 8th position away.
Whoa, not quite. Daner's still putting up a fight on the outside in turn 1. They head side by side through turn 2, now to turn 3. And it looks like Daner going to try to pull the move on the outside. We'll get it done for now, but you got Rolovel and even Chris Hudson sitting in behind licking his chops. He wants a spot as well.
Daner's been very defensive with the way that he's driven and he's squeezing down the straight, down through 4 into 5. Gonna try the undercut, but I don't think he's gonna have it. I think Rolovel's got the pass complete now.
And that's for now. I think we could see that was a good fight that Daner put up there. I think it still has a shot of battling for that spot again.
You got Chris Hudson behind Daner looking to pass him as he... Oh, Daner comes back on Rolovel. Rolovel gets a bad exit off of 7.
Can't quite get it done. It's opening up the opportunity. Here comes Hudson trying to look to the outside in the carousel. Can't quite get established alongside on this occasion. And with the still all nose to tail here now working through the kink.
I believe that's supposed to be a green car Chris Hudson is in, but as you can tell, it's getting pretty dark out here. I think first time they've raced in this kind of darkness all season, so this is a little bit new experience for these drivers in these cars.
Very very dark indeed. I think it's Ryan Plort. I can see flashing in the background.
Darling is under 4 seconds behind Carter Kundinger now. I'm not sure how the hell that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah, I think something just had to happen because the last lap time... Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button. The last lap time for him was not too bad. Let's take a look and see.
Kundinger was a 53.317 on lap 17, so something happened on that lap. He either made a mistake or hit some kind of lap traffic that caused him to lose 3 seconds worth of time. That could be a huge game-changing moment.
Yeah, I think we were talking about didn't need to make a mistake. That one mistake, the same thing happened with Buchanan. He made one mistake and paid the price for it. Alessandrini was able to get on by. And for this occasion, it's going to be Carter Kundinger making a small mistake, and we're saying it was going to be close. Remember, we were thinking that Darling might be maybe a second or two short. That mistake cost Kundinger 3 seconds, and Darling still closing in. Plus, Kundinger got to get back to going fast again. The mistake like that could lose your rhythm, although I think he might be back up to pace now after a few laps after it happened. But Darling still bearing down 3.6 seconds. He might be there.
On pace, Darling hasn't had enough to be able to even make up the ground that's left to make up before this race is over. But when you've already had that one mistake, and now you see Darling is about half the distance closer to you than he was before, that could get into your mind and start causing you to make some smaller mistakes that cost you more time. So we'll see if this ends up costing Kundinger this race win here. And Darling, on the other hand, he's going to see that he's gained all that time, and it's just going to motivate him more to hit his marks even better and harder.
Darling working on a lap car at the moment, getting a little bit of a tow down the straight. Hopefully he can get on by. I think he's going to hope that he can get on by before they head to turn number 1. Doesn't look quite like it. Let's see who that is. Can't really tell. It's very hard to tell here. As you mentioned, very hard to see. And Darling works around the outside of the lap car to clear himself. Up another 3 seconds for Darling on that occasion with 3 laps to go. It's gonna be close, I think, still, and I think maybe Kundinger might have one more attempt to just not make a mistake, but if he makes one more, I think it'll be game over. I imagine his heart's pounding at this point.
Was only a 10th at best quicker than Kundinger that last lap, and so Kundinger's back to doing what he needs to do to hang on to this win, but I'm sure he's feeling the nerves a little bit, at least, knowing that Darling is right there with him.
Even if he isn't a lot faster, he's still faster than you, and that could put just as much pressure as you need on you trying to focus these last few laps.
He's got a lap car coming up on. I think that's one of his teammates, though, so he should be able to... Nope, that's Lidke. That's a Can-Am car. So they were teammates in the past. They're not now. So we'll see if Lidke gives him the spaces and is nice to him to let him go and not cause him any time loss here.
Yeah, we'll see if these guys left his teammates on good terms or not. We'll find that here shortly. Lidke's struggling today, back in 17th position. He is quite not letting Kundinger on by. Carter will get a tow down this straightaway that should help him out, but there you can see the headlights from Paul Darling coming out of the final turn as well.
I expect Lidke to let him by here before they get to turn 1. We'll see.
Yep, indeed he does. Gap now under 3 seconds. It was about 5/10 gap between Darling and Kundinger.
49.
Lap.
Paul Darling just getting into the 49-second bracket with a 49.757. That is, I believe, your new fastest lap of the race. Alessandrini with a 49.9 and a 49.9 for Cy Andrew as well. So those 3 drivers are really showing the pace that these cars have in them around this track right now. So that's huge gain for Darling to be able to close in and get a lap that fast. He's now taken almost a half a second just in this first half of the lap.
Yeah, I'll take a look back at Cy Andrew and DJ Alessandrini. I'm surprised these guys haven't started battling earlier. Andrew got pretty close, then lost some time. I was struggling to get it all back. Is now finally back to DJ, and might see a battle here in the remaining lap and a half. Ooh, very aggressive strike of the curb in turn 7 for Andrew.
I think for Darling to have a real shot, he's going to have to be within a second and a half when they cross the line to take the white flag here. Otherwise, I think it's going to be too much to overcome in one lap without a bigger mistake from Carter up front. But the gap is coming down little by little as they head down through the kink and towards Canada Corner.
Still keeping an eye on this battle for the final step of the podium. Also keeping an eye on the gap up ahead. Approaching 2 seconds now. It's not close enough for the draft, but again, that pressure is starting to mount for Kundinger. He's got one more lap to navigate until he can see victory lane. A lap car ahead of DJ. He's been having really a lot of trouble with traffic, just catching them in all the wrong places. The car will move off the track for now, and that will kind of hurt Alessandrini a little bit out of the final corner. Andrew chasing him down. White flag in the air for our leaders. There's Carter Kundinger in front, and in behind Paul Darling getting past the lap car. Under 2 seconds to gap between these two.
Almost a second gained there on that last lap. A 49.9 for Darling, a 50.7 for Carter. Not enough. He's got 1.6 seconds. Darling's really good on this first half of the course, gaining all of his time, it looks like, on the first half.
We'll take a look back at the battle for third. We'll keep an eye on the gap for first and second place, though. Here comes Andrew. A great run, a great draft on Alessandrini. The best run he's had so far this race. Let's see if he can get it done through the trees. They will come into turn 5. Alessandrini going defensive. Andrew trying to work on the outside. DJ crowding him on the outside lane. Will work his way on through turn 5. Ooh, DJ gonna run a little bit wide in turn 6. Andrew can't quite get the power down either, so both of them making a mistake there. Whoa! And Andrew sideways through turn 7. Wow, he is struggling with this car.
All down to, still now back up to 1.6 seconds. Closing it down once again and starting to 1.5, 1.54, 1.53 right now. I don't think he's got enough time to close at 1.5 seconds with just half a lap to go.
Yeah, we'll have to see as they come onto the back straightaway. Still the gap remaining between Carter Kundinger and Darling. Not looking like it's going to be enough between these two. Still looking at this battle for third. One last shot for Andrew trying to get up to DJ Alessandrini. Can't quite get it done on this occasion. For Carter Kundinger working through the final corner. He's able to hold his nerves off just enough. You can see there's Darling in the picture, flashing his headlights in defeat. For Carter Kundinger, flashing his headlights in celebration as he will take the win in race number 2. Paul Darling sitting back in second place, looking at what could have been had there just been maybe another lap or two. DJ Alessandrini, great fight with him and Andrew for third place. The final step on the podium will go to DJ. Andrew settling for fourth. Sir Thunder Thimble gonna round out the top 5. He's gonna work his way on through in the 93.
That'll be your winner for the AM division in this race too, with Dominic Dornenberg in second, and I believe Ryan Plord hanging on to third place out of the AM drivers. So good run for all of them. Sir Thunder Thimble may have saved his knighthood with that AM Cup or AM first place finish here. But Carter Kundinger takes his second win on the season, both coming in race 2s, and that's big. That pays 20 more points than it does to win race 1, so he knows which ones to get the wins at.
Absolutely, and a great run for the 0-2. Going to pull it off in turn 5. I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that result. And with that, we'll take a quick look at your race results here. Again, Carter Kundinger taking home the win in race number 2. Fantastic job done by him. Actually, I have to go through the second page. There we go. Nope, that's not the page I wanted. Come on. There we go, finally. Carter Kundinger, 1.3 seconds, the final gap between himself and Darling, and I was getting really close towards the end.
Yeah, it really was. I was pretty confident, just looking at the gaps, that Darling needed to be even closer than he was, and that turned out to be the case. He was just 1.3 seconds short, and that makes you go back to thinking about his spin early on in the race, and just he probably would have had this one pretty easily after those pit stops had that not been the case, and lost that time early on. So messy start to the race for him. That kind of cost him the win here, I think, tonight. But second place is not bad when he's already got, I believe, 2 or 3 wins on the season. He's got 2 wins on the season, Alessandrini with 3, and those are them and Carter Kundinger are the only ones who have been able to win any of these prototype races so far. So you see that those are the 3 who finished up front, so that's why they're at the top of the championship as well.
Yeah, and the top 4, great battles between both of them. You can see DJ and Cyander the gap at the end, 10 seconds in behind. And Sir Thunder Thimble in the 93 taking home the AM championship win. Here at Road America, looking down the rest of the order, some surprise finishes. Ryan Plord going to drop Ole back to 10. After running up inside the top 5, wasn't able to hold off a final try by some guys towards the end. Matt Waldblum in 11th, Tessa in 12th, and Eric Brown in 13th. Both these guys having some fairly quiet nights. And then some other guys having more unfortunate nights. Anthony Montello, I'm still curious what put him down in pit road for over a minute, but I think that probably cost him 2 or 3 positions at least. And then also looking back at the next page, some big names finishing in the back of the field, notably Zach Buchanan, Kyle Lamb, Jackson Roblart, and Mitch Welker, and even Murphy Nichols too. Fairly poor day for Project 2 near the back of the order. With that, I think we have some drivers available for interview already. So we'll cut on down to them. Let's see here. Who should we go with first? Let's go with Syandra. Hey, Sy, do you have a copy? Syandra, you got a copy? I think Sai is having some trouble with his mic. I think we'll cut to third place finisher DJ Alessandrini. DJ, you put up a really good fight, but I think we saw for you traffic was a pretty big struggle for you today, and not necessarily due to your own accord. Yep. Eric, can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks like nobody else wants to talk to you, though.
Yeah, apparently, man. Okay, I see how it is. All right, let's see if Paul Darling wants to talk with me. Hey, Paul, do you want to talk with me? Because the other two don't want to talk with me.
What?
I don't know. I'll go back to them. I don't know what's going on if they're having some trouble. I'll come back to them. But Paul, we saw you for second place. You were trying to work your way up the order. If I'm not mistaken, I think you had an off on lap 1. I think you were involved in one of the many incidents. If I'm not mistaken, am I correct in that?
Yeah, there was a bit of contact with one driver losing it, and I couldn't avoid him. So I had a half-second damage there, so I had to pit as early as I could and try and make a run for it from there. But Carter did a absolutely fantastic job. He was really consistent, and I just couldn't close the gap down by the end.
Yeah, and looking at you, we were talking about your call to come down pit road that effectively saved your race, at least saved you a battle with DJ. So what made you want to pull that off? Like, what was going through your head for that decision?
I had a decent bit of damage from the incident on lap 1, so I was just really trying to keep with the pack, and luckily it wasn't so bad that I would have to pit early. Pit early to make 2 stops, but I pitted as early as I could to get that damage repaired.
Well, it was definitely a great call. Unfortunately, didn't give you the win, but a really solid second place despite what you went through in that race. So congrats, Paul, on the second place. It wasn't 3 for 3. You were very close to it, but best of luck to you in the remaining rounds.
Thank you very much.
And moving on to our race winner, Carter Kundinger held his nerves together. It was a small little hiccup in the run to the finish, but it still didn't cost you the win, and you drove a great race despite that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a little nervous there when I went too deep into Canada, and thankfully I had a big enough gap that I was able to just stay ahead of Paul for the entire time, even though he was catching me pretty quickly. But I knew I had the pace. Obviously, Road America being my home track, and so I'd like to think that I'm pretty decent here. This honestly is one of my favorite combos in iRacing. It is so fun. It's so fast. I was just glad to come home. Unfortunate at the start of that first race there. Managed to get P4 in the first race, but then to work my way all the way back up to the front for the second race. Just honestly had a blast tonight.
Yeah, walk us through what position were you by the end of lap 1? Because I didn't think we got a chance to go through that incident. What position were you by the end of that lap? Because I know we had quite a few incidents with many different drivers.
Yeah, I think after all the chaos, and then I think about 3 or 4 passes, I think I went all the way from, I don't even know where I started, like 18th-ish in the field, all the way up to 6th. I think so. Yeah, about 12 spots in that first lap, due to either attrition or actual passes. So yeah, I mean that's honestly the fun part about SCRS is, even with these inverts, you'll be pretty far back if you do finish well in the first race. But all it takes is a little bit of luck to go on your side, and you can basically be right up racing in the main pack right at the start. So
Well, Carter, you did everything you could to get the win, and it paid off in the end. Congrats on your victory.
Thank you, Finian.
No problem. And with that, we'll go to DJ now. DJ, do you finally have a copy?
Oh, I heard him a little bit.
Yep. Come on.
I believe in you, DJ. I believe.
We can hear some static going on.
Yeah, hold on. There's some Discord.
He's gone all droid. He's gone droid.
He's gone back into the waiting room. We'll give him a little bit of time. I'm curious to hear his, because he had a fairly interesting race driving through the pack, not normally against something that he needs to do. Usually he's front and clear. Maybe it has to do with a few lap cars, but usually DJ's clear of everything. Let's see if we can drag him in one more time. Hey DJ, is it a little bit better now?
I don't know. For some reason, when you pull me in here, it's on speakerphone. My computer isn't doing the things, but if you guys hear me fine, then this is good enough for me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We can hear you good now. So DJ, we saw you had I think you had a fairly interesting seat this race. It wasn't all clear cut and dry for you. We saw you working your way through the order and had a little bit of trouble with traffic here and there.
Yeah, especially when we got to that blinky car. I just wanted to get out of there because my experience with blinky cars is they eventually just murder everyone. So the sooner I got by the blinky car, the better. But yeah, that was a little sketchy, and that lap cost us like 3.5 seconds, and I basically knew at that point that Paul was going to be running really good laps. I thought maybe with the draft, it would kind of help my pace, and I would pit and be with Paul. But that's not really how it worked out. I also threw way too much fuel in the car. I don't know how I messed up that calc so bad, but yeah, the jump from the Lamborghini to the prototype tonight was very tough. The prototype, you sail just a ton of entry speed, like way more than you would with the Lamborghini, and without any practice coming in tonight, that was a pretty tough transition to make. I think I started to get the hang of it toward the end of the race, and me and Sai had a fantastic race. That was really fun, but it took basically till the end of the night for me to get the hang of it.
Well, at least you got it, I guess, when it counted the most. Otherwise, you might have been sitting back and forth. Fortunately, I don't think we'll get the chance to talk to Sai. I think he's still having trouble with Discord. I also wanted to ask you, too, how your guys' tires were doing, because I saw both of you sliding a little bit here and there.
Yeah, the rear started to get a little tired, and normally the rear was pretty planted, like especially in the carousel. You started having to chase the rear a little bit. Oddly enough, it was still fine, like getting into throttle, but maybe that's because I started getting better at it. So that might have had something to do with it. But yeah, overall, like, man, it's a really fun track combo, Road America and the P2. Looking forward to whatever's next. I already forgot what it is, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and hopefully work's not as crazy this week, and I can find some practice for next week, because I need to bring it for these guys. These guys are really good.
Indeed, you may have to. All right, DJ, thanks for talking to us. A solid third place finish for you. Good luck for the rest of the season.
All right, thanks, Finian. Appreciate it, guys.
No problem. And with that, it's going to wrap up interviews for tonight after some great racing at both events. Really, all three events tonight, but to throw the Super Trofeo race in as well. Really nothing less I expect from this series. Just some really solid action up near the front. A little bit of chaos in the opening lap of race number 2, but still seeing some of the fast guys work their way to the front was very awesome to see. I actually think we might have a hold of Cyandra here. Hang on. Cyandra, you got a copy?
No, don't think we do.
I can hear you now. I got you.
Hey! I was going to say, I saw a little bit of a flash from the green bulb from you, so finally get a chance to talk to you. You were in a great battle with DJ, and also wanted to ask, so why did you have to start from the pits?
Because I don't know if everybody watching this is aware, but when you leave the garage in iRacing to enter, like, to sort of grid, there's a couple seconds of delay. And for some reason, my internet was lagging, and I didn't get the green join race button. I was clicking on it, I was hammering it. Paul could definitely hear me yelling into the mic, and I sort of forgot it was only a minute to grid, and I was in my garage checking fuel numbers and stuff, and like kind of figuring out where I needed to be on the fuel. That ended up working out, kind of. I was a couple tenths short at the line. You may have seen me lifting and coasting behind DJ. Thank you for that, DJ. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it.
Oh, I actually didn't even realize that. I guess every time we cut away from you, I think you were on the gas. It kind of looked like you were still pushing for the most part. Didn't even realize you guys were, that you at least were a little bit on the short side of things. But I think that's extremely impressive that you started from the pits and drove your way up into fourth. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, you didn't hold on to the fastest lap. But for the first half of the race, you did have the fastest lap as you were working your way on through traffic. And I just think, what did you find was the best way to work your way on through it, especially starting from the back? Did you have to change your mindset for this race, or were you just kind of pushing every single lap?
Well, after I got sort of my race was prematurely ended in the sprints, I decided to take it easy on the first lap, kind of let everybody sort their stuff out, and then be very assertive in the mid and late race, because I find that a lot of people, when you kind of show your nose and you threaten it, they'll mess up anyway going into the corner. And DJ obviously doesn't do that. Paul doesn't do that. But for a lot of people, just honestly just showing the nose and kind of like threatening the dive, but not actually doing it, obviously, tends to scare them a little bit and lets me set up for the exit.
All right. Well, Sai, it was a great time watching you work your way through the order. Unfortunately, it's fourth after what probably could have been a win, but still a great drive nonetheless. Thanks for talking to us.
I'm just glad to hear that you didn't get a second injury like you did in the first one, and that's why you didn't make the grid for the second race. So
you saw that in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that. We kept it, mild. We didn't go into detail on the broadcast for you, but just glad you didn't get the other one.
I'm gonna have to look in the chat. I honestly don't know what you guys are talking about, so I'll get a chance to read and see what actually happened to you, Sai. But nonetheless, great job for your fourth place.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, that'll finally wrap up interviews here from Road America. After getting talked to our top four after putting on a very stellar show.
Yeah, this was a great racing, definitely great racing we saw in the Super Trofeo race early on. I think most people would have expected the prototype races to be a little bit more, to have a little bit more carnage and cause some issues there, so that turned out to be the way the things went. Just a little bit more difficult to drive these cars at the pace that you need to around a place like this. But I think overall it was another great night of SCRS racing in the prototypes and the Lamborghinis. We had close battles. The format's doing what it's meant to do, and create close battles towards the front of the race at the end of 40 minutes. And that was that. And now I think everyone's looking forward to going on to Mid-Ohio. I don't think we've been there in a long time in SCRS, and getting there with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo and the Prototype Challenge cars, I think is going to be a lot of fun next Thursday night.
Yeah, indeed. Really looking forward to that. I won't be back for the next broadcast. You'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming with Kyle Heyer and Tom O'Gorman back. Yeah, back with Tom O'Gorman in the booth when they head to Mid-Ohio and Watkins Glen. I will be back for the broadcast to cover the broadcast for Road Atlanta and Spa later in the season. But for now, my name is Funikune here with Eric Mickey. We're SimTV and we'll be signing out for tonight. Thank you for watching.